we're back with you now on Morning Barbados at 10 away from the hour of 8 o'clock. We're going to use our last few minutes to reflect. It's definitely not enough time, but this is where we'll start. This is us taking a little time for that here on Morning Barbados to remember one of our family members. As mentioned, you know, our CBC family is today mourning the loss of one of our own, beloved Victor Leach, Pastor Victor Leach. Pastor Leach, Victor, to many people, he went by different names, but all of them amounted to him being someone who you will never forget as long as you had a chance to work with him or to just be around him. He was the technical supervisor in our engineering department, and while we mourn his loss, certainly we have some very fond memories of Pastor Leach, and not only as a technician, but certainly he was a husband, a father, he was a friend, and what we're going to do this morning, we're going to start remembering. There you see him pictured with his family, wife Jackie on the other end. Pastor Leach, many of you would know from watching Time to Sing and then our holiday program where he engaged us in various games, but he had a fantastic spirit. I mentioned earlier that he married a number of persons, including Pasadena Mears, one of the most recent. She is in our presentation department at this time. Betty Lynch, Betty's daughter Leah, and here this morning we have Reverend Dr. Lucille Baird, who can certainly remember him in a number of ways. So thank you for taking the time to come and talk. We have a little time, but you know, we can't cover everything, but certainly we can remember those memories, those fond memories of him.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Good morning to you, Barbados, and listeners, and those that are watching. I'm really honored and privileged to have met and have known this powerful man called Victor Leach. I know him as a man of God, a minister of the gospel. In fact, we were ordained on the same day. And I know him as a person who is very devoted to what he is called to. The calling of the Lord was a very serious thing to him. Even on his sick bed, he was trying to still be involved and be organizing and be asking questions and giving advice and so on. That's the kind of person that I know that Victor was. Being very close to his family, I'm his friend. He's not just a fellow colleague in the ministry, but he was a very close friend of mine, and I'm also very close to his wife and family. So I know that he has been a very dedicated, committed, loving husband to his wife Jackie, who remembers him as a person who was always laughing, and she doesn't remember him ever being sad or angry or upset.
He had a certain pep in his step.
Nothing could upset Victor. No matter what he was going through or what was being done or what was happening around him, the waves were rolling, there was a lot of storms or whatever. He kept his focus on God, and he maintained that personality of happiness and, you know, being vivacious. I know him as to be a very devoted father who loved his children, a disciplinarian but kind and loving and caring and very watchful over his children. I know him as a comic. He loved to laugh. He called me Beardy. That was his name for me. And he would always be, "Come on, Beardy." And when he spoke to me, whatever I was going through, I felt that I could deal with it after talking to Victor. We will miss him. I miss him dearly. I've had my times of crying and so on. I know he would not want us to cry for him because he was a person that always felt that laughter was the best medicine. But sometimes grief is a way of expressing your feelings, and it's therapeutic, and so it's okay to grieve. I want to say on behalf of his family to all the members and staff of CBC, thanks for loving him. Thanks for caring for him. Thanks for working with him, you know, and sharing your concerns, and for trusting him to be a good minister of the gospel, because you didn't just see him as a work colleague, but you respected him enough to be able to invite him into your personal lives, to trust him with your times of need and pain, to be your counselor, you know, your comforter. And so I want to thank all of you for loving him. I want to thank Jackie and the children for sharing him with the whole world, with Barbados, because as the director for Time to Sing, he went all across the nations, you know, on a Sunday evening. So I want to thank all of you who received him into your homes and loved him as we love him. He's in a good place. It was hard to let him go. You know, we prayed for him to stay. We prayed for him to be around for a long time. We prayed that he'd be there to watch his daughter graduate.
Yeah.
She's a medical student, and she'll soon be graduating. We pray that he'll be there. His son is a law student. We pray that he'll be there. But God knows best. And at the end of the day, we, submit our wills and our praise to the will of the Master. And I know that he's happy and he is, in a better place. He's not in pain. He's not in distress. He's happy. I want to say a poem, in a few minutes on his behalf, the kind of poem that would reflect his thoughts, what he would want me to say, on his behalf.
Please.
To all the members of the Caribbean Evangelistic Fellowship, I want to speak on their behalf as well. They know him as their pastor. He pastored at the Redmonds Village Church in St. Thomas, and in the latter part, he pastored at the Lodge Hill Church in St. Michael. They loved him, and they know him as this vivacious, happy, devoted, excited, dedicated Christian man. And so I want to say to all of you, I know you will love him and you will miss him, but he's with the Father, and you will see him again. It's important that you live that life to see him again. And I thank you for sharing him with the world and with all of us. I spent some time, with him, a lot of time with him in his last few days, and I know that he always wanted to share, his there was no pain, although he was in pain. He never complained. He never said, why me? He never said, I'm really, hurting over what's happening to me. He thought of his family. He thought of his wife. He thought of his children. He thought of the membership. And I kept saying, Victor, come on. You have to think about yourself. Victor, you have to think of getting well.
That's a lot of virtue right there.
Yes, it shows
to think
virtue
of others.
and his nature.
Yeah.
That was the nature of Victor. There were times that I left my first sabbatical. I went overseas for 3 months. Victor was there at my church, taking care, making sure that everything was well, and my membership loved him. And so there's a lot of grief all over Barbados today. People are hurting.
People was saying that we don't have enough time.
Yes, we're going to say that
let's
point.
get the point.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So thank you for loving Victor and for letting him go.
We couldn't do
And
anything else.
Yes. It says, I'm free. Don't grieve for me, for now I'm free. I'm following the path God laid for me. I took his hand when I heard his call. I turned my back and I left it all. I could not stay another day to laugh, to love, to work or play. Tasks left undone will stay that way. I found that peace at close of day. If my parting is left a void, then fill it with remembered joy. A friendship shared, a laugh, a kiss. Ah yes, these things I too will miss, but not burdened with times of sorrow. I wish you the sunshine of tomorrow. My life has been full. I've savored much. Good friends, good times, a loved one's touch. Perhaps my time seemed all too brief. Don't lengthen it now with undue grief. Lift up your hearts and share with me. God wanted me now. He set me free. That's Victor sharing his thoughts with you.
Thank you.
Rest well, my friend. Rest well.
From all of us, we extend that very sentiment, eternal and peaceful rest. Many people are sharing their thoughts online and that kind of thing. And again, we too are very happy for how he touched our life. Yeah? So that's it for us today on Morning Barbados as we remember Pastor Leach.